Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Dad Pod with Brad Alexander. And folks,
Stephanie, hi.
look who I have on a live broadcast. It's very seldom that we get this one on a live broadcast. So today is the Dad Pod with Brad Alexander. And to be quite honest with you, folks, I have struggled keeping up with this. Life has been a little busy. I've been a little lazy, and we can make excuses all day long, but here we are today. So last night, Stephanie and I attended our good friend's book launch,
Mhm.
book launch party. And the friend is Dina Jansen, and the book is Soul Farmer. And one thing that Dina talked about um, during her launch was tell your story. And as y'all, if you know me, I tell my story through Facebook Live, YouTube Live, and those things. Um, and so Stephanie usually tells her story through Facebook stories and Instagram stories. Is that pretty
Yeah.
pretty good? So, everybody tells their story in a different form or fashion. But one thing that Dina tried to get across to everybody was, tell your story. And to be quite honest with you, folks, I'm a little jealous of Dina. I'm a little inspired by Dina because I would like, even though I don't read, I would like to write a book. And so Dina talked about, those of you who want to write a book. So Dina, yes, I do want to write a book one day. Um, and so talk about the growth that I've seen from the world of coaching, parenting, real estate, pigs, horses, everything underneath the sun. So today's topic is raising competitive kids. Wow. All right, folks. If you don't know Stephanie and I, and you're just watching this, Stephanie and I have two, mind you, two daughters. One is 12 and one is 15. We also have two female dogs. And this year we also had four female show pigs. And the only males in the family are me and Brooklyn's horse named Gunner. So um, I was competitive growing up. Stephanie was competitive growing up. Stephanie was a competitive dancer. She danced on the UTEP college dance team.
Go Gold Diggers.
Go Diggers. Um, and so, but you know, maybe Stephanie would have a better insight to this. That I was not on a college level athletic team. I played for one of the most recognized coaches in Texas high school football. Stadium's named after him. Played baseball growing up. A little short for basketball. Um, but I grew up being competitive. I showed livestock whenever I was a kid, and made the comment the other day that my kids are showing much better pigs than I ever did. I think I won one belt buckle, and my kids won four belt buckles this year. So um, we're raising very competitive kids, and we didn't really go into it thinking, "Hey, raising competitive kids."
It happens really fast.
We did know though that whenever having a dance coach as your wife, Brooklyn was not the most athletic coordinated person whenever she was 3 or 4 years old. So we did think ahead and be like, you know what, we need to get her in tumbling and gymnastics and those types of things at a very young age to get her coordination going. She soon left dance to barrel race. That was an interesting conversation. So we have these two children. As you may have a high school basketball player, we've got friends that have college. Let's see, Burton's at Auburn playing football. We've got friends that have college level softball players. We have two friends that are one's at UTSA and one's at Texas State playing softball. Our friends are in competitive soccer. I was telling Stephanie that a coaching friend of mine from way back in the day, his daughter just got back from Costa Rica. She's on the U.S. soccer developmental team of some sort, whatever that might be. So we're here to talk about raising competitive kids. Topic number one on raising competitive children. Man, isn't it different today than it was in the 80s? 80s for me, I married young folks. 90s for you. Um, do you think it's different?
Totally different. I didn't, as far as dancing goes, we went to competitions and stuff, but we did not have to know how to tumble, which nowadays, if you can't tumble, you can't dance. Um, and so it's just wild. I was always scared of tumbling. That wasn't my thing, similar to Brooklyn. Once they asked her to start tumbling, she was out. And so yeah, it's a whole different ball game nowadays.
But I played little league baseball, and little league baseball was like the expectation was like practice one, maybe two times a week, play one game on the weekend. I hear these parents now in the little league baseball to where they have a hitting coach, they have a pitching coach. Um, a couple of our friends that we show pigs with, their sons play baseball. Hey, Darities. I mean, it seems like, I mean, they get like 1 month off a year from, I mean, they're playing baseball year round. Um, but you kind of did that with dance. I mean, your mom tells the stories of, you were in the dance studio for hours on end, almost every day.
Every day after school till 10 p.m. So it was sort of till 9 p.m. So it was still a lot of big sacrifice and a lot of commitment. Um, I eventually got burned out and quit in high school. Luckily, I was able to make the college dance team, and that was a lot of fun, more like a sorority than anything. But um, I don't think that I had the drive that our kids have. I think hopefully, they'll go and last a lot longer than I did.
But is it the drive that our kids have, or is it just the drive that they see I mean, I don't know. It's a hard balance in there. A couple of years ago, we as a family, or me and Stephanie, had COVID, and it was right before Thanksgiving. And whenever we got better, I took we was whenever you had to quarantine for like 14 days, and so Madison had her state gymnastics. So I took Madison outside and I put her through some dad workouts. And I really found out that during that time just how driven and at that time she's like 9 years old, just how driven she was. So I think it's a mixture of society pushing for quote unquote excellence or winning, and then their own personal drive. And I think we found something for our kids, which is important for you if you are a young parent. Um, if they're passionate about it, it's a lot. I tell my kids all the time that basically our kids are involved in three different areas: gymnastics, Madison; barrel racing, pole bending, Brooklyn, the horse; and they show pigs. And I tell them, if I have to make you go to the gym, if I have to make you go to the barn, or if I have to make you ride your horse, we're done. We're going to go on to something else. And I'm going to tell you, folks, we do not, they're passionate about it. Now, granted, when it's 22 degrees outside, they may not want to do that. But for the most part, they know and they're passionate about it. They really love and strive to do it. Um, you can tell our friends from back that we show pigs with, the competitiveness has just gotten way stronger just in the years that we've been doing it. Um, we talk to the people at the high school rodeo, and they tell us about just how much more competitive it has, and how we call it horsepower, how much better the horses are today than, and how much more expensive they are today than they were 5 10 years ago. So I think when we're talking about different then, I think it's a little bit different from the 80s and 90s, but I think there are some similarities. I mean, you spent hours on in the dance studio. Madison spends 6.5 hours in the gymnastics gym a day. 6.5. My 12-year-olds, because I come from the coaching world, right? My 12-year-old spends more time in the gym than the NCAA a week. So my daughter spends more time in the gym in a week than the NCAA will let a 21-year-old college football player spend in practice a week. So wow, that's something. So next thing, let's talk about failing. Let's talk about losing. Let's talk about not winning. I know as us as parents, we have had to. Madison is competitive, folks. Since Brooklyn has become competitive.
Mhm.
She got a taste of winning throughout her life, I think Brooklyn has become competitive because of tasting success. But folks, let me tell you, Madison, since the day she was born, she's been competitive. She's had sleepovers with her friends. Her friends' parents will probably watch this video and confirm this. Everything they do when they have a sleepover, there is a winner and a loser.
Yeah, we got to rein it in sometimes.
Sometimes we have to pull the reins back on Madison a little bit. So teaching kids, adults, sometimes you don't always win, guys. And this is coming from the father that tells his kids that we don't recognize anything after third place. So I've kind of built the monster that it is. We Daddy doesn't take pictures of any pigs past third place if you're not on the podium. Yeah. So, anyways, and the reason why it's third place is we have taught our kids that in the top three in gymnastics, you are going to be on the podium. Top three in rodeo, you're pulling a check, and top three in pigs mean that you probably got what's called pinned. So we teach our kids that we don't have to win, but our goal, we strive to be in the top three. So, and we have consciously done that as parents. Stephanie would probably say that, she's more of the everybody's a winner mentality. No matter
Not
how
really,
not no matter how well you do, we love you and you won.
for sure.
Dad, on the other hand, is not so. No matter how you do,
Well, now if I don't see effort from the kids, and if I can tell that they didn't put their best in, then that's a different story. But um, yeah, I think as long as they're doing their best that they can, and they don't have any regrets, like they should have, done this or they should have tried harder. Um, it is what it is. I think that every failure is a learning lesson. And the kids are not going to advance or get better if they don't fail. So when we do fail, it stings, but I just know that something is going to come of it, and so that's kind of what I have to tell myself.
and she has to tell me too.
Mhm.
Um, I'm not always been the best person at losing or handling, and I have a 15-year-old daughter that takes a lot after her father, and we both have to teach each other that um, I recently told Brooklyn that the best baseball players in the world fail 7 out of 10 times. Those are the those
That
are
was
the pros.
really eye opening when you told me that. I was shocked that it's that high, but
I mean, a professional baseball player is going to be unsuccessful 7 out of 10 times.
that's wild.
And so Brooklyn was struggling with, hitting some barrels, hitting some poles, and she was getting down on herself, and she was, beating herself down with some negative comments about herself and saying, I tried to let her know that, getting tight and forcing it was not going, she needed to relax and go back to being her. And she did. Hey, and she made state in Texas high school rodeo this past weekend. So I guess Daddy's lecture paid off a little bit. Matter of fact, the day after I told her that baseball players fail 7 out of 10 times, the very next day she went out and won the rodeo. So
Really?
she did. She did. So now we won't talk about the rest of that discussion when Daddy said that he was going to load up the horse and come home in the middle of the rodeo. and go there. But yeah, me and my oldest daughter sometimes we're so much alike. We butt heads just a little bit. Next thing. So we have tried to teach. So to finish that one off, we have tried to teach our kids how to not accept losing. Nobody wants to accept losing, but when you do lose, you have to learn how to handle losing. And I take my first time of learning this one time was I was a first year, not first year, my first year at Dale Valley High School, where we met. Um, we had two brothers on the team, and if they watch this video, JD win and Marcus win. Marcus's wife is actually the one that hooked us up together. Um, so we lost the playoff game that day, or at the end of that season, to Lake Travis, and JD, the younger brother, wanted to. Well, we had to make sure there were no knives or guns in the locker room. Because if there would have been any knives or guns in the locker room, JD would have killed just about the entire team. Um, so that day, our message, and I had a great boss at the time, head coach time, Marvin Hall, really taught those kids that day that, we don't accept losing, but we've got to be able to handle losing.
Been a big lesson, I feel like, over the last year.
Year and a half.
Yeah.
So, and part of that going is as parents and as kids, I think multiple things have happened. Madison has stepped up her gymnastics to what we call optionals. Brooklyn got got a new horse that was, supposed to do better on. And then with the pigs, pigs is a whole nother story. So, so I think that everybody just felt a little bit more pressure, I guess. And pressure makes you handle losing not so
gracefully.
Gracefully. Yeah. Number 3, teaching your kids what really defines them. So I think Stephanie has done this way better than I have. We, as a family, have started praying before or we try to pray before every time our children compete. And Stephanie says the prayer. She's good at it. Let people do what they do and let them do it well. And part of Stephanie's prayer every time is, today does not define you. And so if a gymnastics meet is not going to define our daughter, and a barrel racing is not going to define our daughter, and winning a belt buckle is not going, those belt buckles, when you get old like me, those belt buckles go into the drawer.
Don't mean a thing.
So what do you think about that?
Yeah, that's just, I think when the kids are around their peers and they want to do good because it's embarrassing to lose, I get it. You don't want to lose in front of your friends and your peers. So I think sometimes when things don't go your way, the first reaction is to be embarrassed. And when you're embarrassed, you can lash out. And then they start thinking that just because they lost a race or even two races, that they're no longer a good horse rider or no longer a gymnast. They suck is sometimes what they say. I just suck. I can't do this anymore. And it's just a constant reminder that there's so much more to this picture, and that we're God's children and he made us in his image, and he loves us and thinks that we're amazing and we deserve, good things. And so I just have to remind my kids that when things get hard, that they are still precious and they matter and they are amazing just for going out and doing these things that I could never have done in I am terrified of horses and I could never flip on a beam, so it's pretty impressive. I think I applaud all the kids that are out there doing, staying at the baseball fields from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. and, or even later, and getting up early and sacrificing their friend time when they could be in bed, being lazy. yet they choose to go out and work really hard. So to me, that means a lot.
I guess probably my first time of ever seeing that type of dedication. I was the golf coach. Folks, if you've ever seen me play golf, that's kind of a funny statement.
Comical.
I was the golf chauffeur, chaperone, may be a better way to put it. But hey, we went to state. I say we. Ben went to state. I drove Ben to state. Um, but when I was in Hillsboro, Texas, as a high school coach, I got named the golf coach, and I had this phenomenal golfer who ended up going to college, Sam Houston, to play golf. And Ben would get done playing. When we would get done with a tournament, we would get back to the school, and it'd be 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon. We've been out in the sun all day long. It was hot, right? And he would literally go and practice for 3 or 4 hours once we got home. He did not wear gloves whenever he played golf because he said he went through it wasn't economical enough because he wore them out so much practicing that it just wasn't economical to wear gloves. Folks, that's wow. So that was probably my first taste of that. So yeah, we've today during Bible study, we talked a little bit about this and what and we've tried to really tell our kids that winning or losing does not define them. Who you are defines you. And sometimes, and I'm first one to say, who you are, you can slip up being you, as my beautiful wife would know. And so, who you are defines you, not what you accomplish, or not the size of your pocketbook or your trophies or anything like that. So we've tried to instill that with our kids as much as possible. All right, number 4, the last one. Got this from Dina. So this is a little Dina plug. You showing the shirt?
Yes,
So
I got my Dina merch
Dina's-
on. I've got the Keep Growing shirt, so cute, and I've got my bracelet that says Soul Farmer. You guys go out and buy her book.
I will put a link to Dina's book once we get off this live broadcast. Dina Jansen. The book is Soul Farmer.
It's her second book.
It's her second book. So one thing that Dina talked about last night was, and we tell our kids this all the time, it's a process. Trust. And when I was a high school coach, we used to tell our kids, trust the process. We don't want to be perfect. We really coached this with Madison of you don't want to be perfect at the very beginning of the season. You want to grow and get better as the season goes along, right? So everything in life is a process. And Dina said so Dina's book is based on 3 principles: plant, grow, harvest. And so, whenever I look at it, plant means, start out with a strong foundation. So we have our kids in a really good gym studio. We have surrounded Brooklyn with good people around in the horse world. And then you got to grow. And sometimes growing means you got to take 2 steps back to take 1 step forward.
Got to fail. Mm-hmm.
And in the world of Keller Williams, they call it, you got to fail forward. And then harvest. So plant, grow, harvest. Harvest is, sometimes whenever you reap the benefits, and our kids have been lucky enough to reap some benefits of some hard work. Mm-hmm. Madison last year. So as the ex-coach, you always want to get better as the year goes along. You want to peak, quote unquote, at the state championship. Well, last year, Madison peaked. And in the world of gymnastics, getting a 38 is, I could do a whole podcast on gymnastics terminology and lingo and all that, but a 38 is what you're striving for. I mean, that 38 is a
pretty damn good score.
It's yeah. She got her first and only 38 last year at state. Brooklyn, last year finished out in our region in 18th place last year. And she, man, it did not sit well with her. So I will tell you, this past summer, Brooklyn woke up on her own. We were pleasantly surprised.
Mhm.
Brooklyn would wake up on her own. She would go running for a mile. Um, she would do different things, and it paid off. She qualified this last weekend. She's sitting seventh in her region, top 10 in the region go to state. So she met her goal and qualified for state this year. So harvest is kind of, I look at it as reaping some of those benefits.
Mhm.
So um, I guess last comments are, we're not perfect parents. Trust me, folks. Um, my Facebook post, my Valentine's Facebook post to my wife today was that I can sometimes be an impatient jackass. Yes, sometimes. Kevin Fowler has that song, Hard Man to Love. Sometimes.
Sometimes.
Sometimes. So we are not perfect parents. In no way, shape, or form did we get on this dad pod today to toot our own horn or anything. I just wanted to get on here and tell other parents we feel your pain. We've been on the roller coaster ride of, I've got books. We're in our home office right now, and I've got this bookcase sitting right next to me, and there's not a book over here that says how to parent kids. Um, our parents never sat us down and said how to parent kids. Now they have given some advice and their own 2 cents every now and then.
But nobody knows the full answer.
Yeah.
The secret.
So we did not have children thinking that we have no background in rodeo world. We have no background in gymnastics. Stephanie was in dance. I guess you could put a little bit of correlation with, but very little. And I did have a livestock background, but folks, trust me, showing
Different
livestock
today.
in 1995 versus showing livestock in 2024, two totally different worlds. So we're just here along for the ride, learning every day. And so this is just something that's been on my mind quite a bit lately. Are we doing it right? Are we doing it wrong? Do we spend too much time
And money.
letting our kids chase their dreams? Are we putting too much of a priority on it? Who knows? We don't know. But we try to keep our kids grounded. We try to hit the pause button every now and then, very seldom, but every now and then, and say, you know what, this weekend we're going to just do us, or me and her, or family, or we're not going to do gymnastics. We're not going to do pigs. We're not going to do horse. We're going to do
this weekend, maybe.
Maybe there is a rodeo, but yeah. So there you go, folks. We don't know all the answers. Never claim to, but hey, I do have the dad pod. I did get her on the show with me today.
Only because it's Valentine's Day.
I got my pink shirt on because there's so many women in my life. And so there you go, folks. Reach out to us. Let us know. Comment. Love to hear your feedback about
those
your
of you
struggles.
who have competitive kids like we do, who sacrifice a lot of their time and money. What are your thoughts? How do you keep your kids grounded? What do you do to stay sane and not go
outside
crazy?
of drinking?
Yeah, trying to tame that down. Yeah, just would love other comments on families who are going through similar things.
So there you go, folks. I'm Brad Alexander.
I'm Stephanie.
And this is the Dad Pod. Share it, like it, spread the word, and we would love to hear your comments. Until next time, we'll see you later.
Bye.